Only time will tell if Daboll is coaching his final game as the Giants head coach. Luckily, John Harper, Chris Lopresti have a SNY time machine,
Hey,
so let's...
It's better than that.
Nothing. We should have got ourselves in like some sort of time machine. CeeLo, you're going to take us to the future. Ooh. Is Brian Daboll the head coach of the Giants next season?
If I'm making the decision, he is. And I felt pretty strongly after last week and the way the team really played for him in that win over the Colts. You could say it's meaningless, but I thought that kind of spoke to where they're at in the locker room. But, man, these reports that Joe Schoen may stick around and Daboll may go, I'd be really surprised if John Mara goes that route. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense outside of there's something happening behind closed doors that we're not aware of, which is certainly possible, but I don't have that information. So if I'm just judging based on what I've seen down the stretch and the fact that, again, Brian Daboll was brought in here to find and work with a franchise quarterback that he really hasn't been provided yet. Both Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, I think, should be given the opportunity to draft their guy, develop that guy. And if they're going to move on from him, I don't know where they're going to pair with Joe Schoen remaining as the GM. So if it's up to me, I'm keeping Daboll, and I do think he'll be here next year.
I think get rid of both, fresh start. They need a fresh start. So speaking of their past, Harp is going to take us back, make something right. That's the best part of a time machine.
That way.
Yeah, you got to take us back. So we know what happened this season. They got rid of Daniel Jones. If you're going back to last year's draft, should they have drafted a quarterback and not Malik Neighbors?
I think they should have. Look, Neighbors is great. I think he could be an all-timer, but you got to get the quarterback. And, I mean, and maybe it works out if they get the quarterback in this draft and they have Neighbors already. But if you go back, you could have taken Pennick or Nix. Pennick's looked really good so far with the Falcons, these couple games he's played. And Nix has been a surprise. But I think either one of those guys probably grades out higher than the two guys at the top of this next draft that we think are going to be at the top of the draft. So I think you got to get the quarterback. I would have done it.
I definitely would have done it. We'll talk about Bo Nix a little bit later, but another move the Giants made last offseason was trading for Brian Burns. CeeLo, as we sit here now, was that a good move? Would you have still done that?
I think so. I mean, look, you look back at that move in the offseason, you feel like you kind of got him at a discount as far as the draft capital. Essentially gave up a second-round pick. They swapped fifths with the Panthers in that deal as well. Now, yes, they did give him the big contract. You know, he got off to a slow start. I thought he came on middle of the season. You don't notice it as much because the team stunk. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the Giants, I don't think, envisioned being as bad as they were this season, and I think he would have had more of an impact had these games meant a little bit something more down the stretch. His sack numbers are pretty much in line with where he's been in his career. Yeah, it'd be nice to get to double digits, but look, he's only going to be 27 next year, and the Giants, I know, are probably a season or two away from hopefully getting back to being competitive, but I think he could be part of the solution rather than the problem, and I think he was a pretty good guy in the locker room as well, so really don't have a big issue with that one, even looking back on it in hindsight 2020.
All right, so let's go back to the future. Saquon Barkley, obviously on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Harp, I know you've been to the future, so tell us, did he go in as a Giant or an Eagle?
Is this a trick question, Niki? Because
what, are you going to say neither?
No, I think he's no way he's going in as Giant. I know he had 6 years with the Giants. He just ran for 2,000 yards with the Eagles in his first year. Now, look, you can make the case that, I mean, he's going to have to do it a few more years with the Eagles, obviously. But I can't, if he has anything to say about it, you know, unless maybe Tiki's going to put the jacket on him there and you're dead to me and you put the jacket on him there. No, I think, I'm pretty sure he's going to go in as an Eagle.
Bringing up some drama.
Did he take Doc Brown's flying DeLorean to the future? Possibly?
88 miles an hour.
I know the DeLorean. I know Back to the Future, guys. I was going to say it, and then I was getting carried away with the Hall of Fame. So switching gears to the Jets, they drafted Olu Fashanu 11th overall, one spot ahead of Bo Nix, who you mentioned is playing pretty well for the Broncos. CeeLo, after this season, should they have just went out and got Nix?
I don't think so. I don't think Bo Nix in this environment with Aaron Rodgers and the mess that is the Jets coaching staff would be anywhere near developed as he is already under the tutelage of Sean Payton with the Broncos. That's number one. Number two, you know, Olu Fashanu right now, it doesn't probably excite the Jet fan, but I think that's a pick that they're going to appreciate as the years go along because hopefully they do at some point figure out the quarterback situation, the coaching staff, and you've got, I think, your left tackle of the future. I know he got banged up late in the season, but getting a chance to see him slide over to left tackle after playing it right, I think he looks the part, and I think he could be a guy that's a stable on that offensive line for years to come, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't think that was in the cards for them. But another move the Jets tried to make was bringing in Davante Adams. Harp, if you could go back, do you do that, or was that unnecessary?
I do. I know it's an easy second guess, but I still do it. Look, they were all in with Rodgers, and they had to do everything they could to make it work with him. They still, at that point in time, had time to make a run, get into the postseason, get the offense going. So I think you had to take the shot. It gave up a third-round pick, which is, substantial, but still. Adams has shown he's still got something left, but it just hasn't worked. But I can't second-guess that one.